Making God's Child YouTube channel. I am here with my co-host Candy Nelson, and we are coming to you live from Texas and Florida. It's
Barely,
been a
but
while.
alive.
What's that?
I said barely, but we're still alive.
Yeah, we're coming to you barely alive, but we are here. So I'm sure all of you have probably wondered what's happened to us. We have had lots happening. Both of us have been in the hospital. Both of us have been fighting demons. Seems like everything and anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And Candy, we'll start with you, and we can hear my little escapade after that. So, you had surgery recently. Finally, right?
Finally.
Finally,
Yeah,
yeah.
after I walked around, I think it was like 6 weeks with a fractured spine. I finally
Bless
got the
your
damn
heart.
surgery.
Yeah, you went
Um,
through a lot, a lot, a lot. So,
yeah.
how did the surgery end up going for you?
Well,
Did it?
I'm still trying to get through that. But
Yeah,
like I
right.
said, well, they gave me the anesthesia, and they hadn't told me anything up to that point anyway. So the surgeon comes in and, I'm like, got the anesthesia. He's like, well, 25% of people feel better in a couple of days. The other 25%, the next 25% usually get better in like 2 weeks. And then the third 25% might take 6 to 8 weeks.
So you can't even consider us a percentage of anything. We're in a league
Yeah,
of our
and
own.
then I dozed off, so I never got the last the last quarter of that. So I told George, I was like, it's funny because he's sitting there telling me I never heard the last quarter of it. And George was like, well, they die on the operating table. He's like, you lived, you're okay. I'm like,
You
oh,
made
well,
it.
really? Okay, thanks.
I mean, honestly, I I mean, I literally like this time I felt this was the closest to death that I've ever came. I'm I'm just honestly really surprised I'm here.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and two, with me, like I said, they gave me those muscle relaxers because I
honey,
was in so much pain. And I'm taking those, and they made me feel so awful. And I thought, man, I'm like, I want to feel better because I haven't been able to do anything like in over 2 months. And I'm like, I haven't taken any for like 4 days now, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. But I'm like, holy crap, man, that stuff had me so messed up. And my nose was bleeding, my face broke out, and I was having stomach problems and back problems. And I was in so much pain. And I tell everybody, I'm like, you know, here's the thing. All the stuff I've had to deal with Morgellons over the years, and all how messed up my legs were, my arms, everything. The worst pain I ever had in my life was trying to get through that spinal fracture.
yeah, yeah,
So
that's and
after
there's nothing
dealing,
worse than back pain.
yeah, the pain of all the other stuff I've had to endure all these years, I've never had that much pain ever. And another thing too with Morgellons, it's like, okay, we might deal with something for a week or two at a time, but then we kind of get a break before something else
Right.
happens. This has been nonstop every day,
uh,
24/7.
I don't remember much of a break at all for the last 8, 10 years. But yeah, like you said, most people's come in threes. It seems like ours come in 33s. No pun intended with the three three threes,
The
three
three
thirty threes,
day.
11 11s, and all the other numbers that y'all see out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, back pain is the worst. It is the worst. I mean, I suffer from severe back pain. It runs in our family, and then you had a fracture on top of that, and you're just already tiny, and you've been through so much, and that's really taken a toll on your body. I hate that you had to go through
Yeah, and
that.
I'm lost a lot of weight too because I physically can't go in there and cook myself something to eat.
Yeah, that's how
Um,
I've been.
you know, so I like have to grab quick stuff that's easy to fix or either go
Hi,
out and get
Gator.
something, which
Hi,
is
Bobby.
painful,
Sorry.
costs money too. So it's like
Yeah.
I had a friend, first time ever since all this has happened, a friend of mine brought me lunch today and spent time with me. And
Aw,
first one that's come, and I'm like, okay, plenty of
that
people
was
live in the
awesome.
neighborhood. They know what I've been
I was
through.
like, when I got out of the hospital, I was just thinking, man, it would be so nice to just have someone make soup, anything, Um,
And the funny part was when you told me you were home, like I said, I told my husband, I was like, okay, that's it. I was like, I don't know how I'm getting there, but I'm going to Texas. And then a couple hours later, I pulled something in my back again, and I was like,
right.
man, I'm not going to Texas.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone knows what happened to me at all. I haven't told anyone. Like you found out through the grapevine, but I actually was getting sick, and I think last podcast we said I was like kept saying I wasn't feeling well, hadn't been feeling well. Well, I went in and I had some blood work done, and my doctor called me at 4 a.m. and he said, Miss Hicks, you need to get up right now, take a bag, and go straight to the emergency room hospital and check yourself in. You have sepsis and pneumonia. And I mean, I knew I was like really sick and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. But I hate hospitals. And after the way I've been treated with Morgellons, as most of us, and what we've gone through, white coat syndrome, whatever you want to call it, I hate hospitals. I hate doctors. I do not trust them. So it took a lot for me to just go to my primary care physician. And I was doubled over in pain, lethargic. I was close to death, I would say, the night that I received the call. I mean, honestly, I know I was close to death. I called my mom and dad at 4 a.m. saying, okay, doctor just called me, I gotta go. But nobody answered the phone. I was sitting there like, who do I call? Who can I call? I had nobody to call. My mom and dad were sleeping, I totally get it. So I got my little bag together. I got in the car, and I mean, literally, I was brink of death feeling. And I drove myself to the hospital, and I told them my name, and I went to tell them why I was there. And they're like, we've been expecting you. And they just pulled me straight to the back and admitted me, shoved the IVs, all this fluid in me, immediately took me for CAT scan, MRI. I don't remember much of it because I was that sick. I don't even know how, by the grace of God, I made it to the hospital and drove myself. Because I don't remember much after that for like the whole time I was in the hospital, 5 days. And I should have been there longer, but I was yanking the IVs out of my arm saying, I'm going home. And I'm like, you're not going to take these out. Let me do it myself. But it's just crazy how we can go through all of this and so much. And I still feel like death. I mean, again, it's, blood poisoning, sepsis, and pneumonia. I had no idea. I just knew something was bad, wrong, really, really wrong. And the whole hospital stay was a complete blur. And you found out somehow. I think Kristen had texted me, and I'm just like, she said I didn't even make sense when I was texting. I was like, hospital, and it didn't like make any sense. But long story short, we both survived. Again, we have been to hell and back. And ain't nothing stopping us apparently. But not gonna lie, guys, we're gonna keep it short tonight because I'm still so weak, and I had to go straight back to work. I went from hospital stay in bed nonstop ICU to regular hospital to literally like, okay, I'm pulling my IVs out, I'm going home, and then wake up the next morning, my alarm goes off at 5 and I'm back at work. I mean, couldn't be, that's the entire reality of my life. So I didn't get to go home and rest, and my body is in shock. They said I have hyperactive thyroid disorder on top of everything else. My blood pressure was like 200 over 95, or I don't know. But I mean, I'm like, well, you're welcome. I'm not a cookie cutter like you. I mean, we don't all have to be the same. But I mean, there was something wrong, and we talked about keeping weight on, Candy, and how you've lost so much. I'm 100 pounds right now. I'm 5'6". So 5'6.25", should be 5'7". But apparently my spine is bent a little as well with all this. How does your spine bend, like at the lower portion in later in life, like and like this? It just doesn't make sense. But long story short, I'm 100 pounds. I'm typically, I was back in the good old days, 113, 115. I've been since Morgellons about 108, 110. But I mean, I was down to 98 pounds the day I got out of the hospital, and at 100 right now. And that's probably just because I'm just full of shit. I mean,
Yeah, and I've actually lost 20 pounds since my lung collapsed and this back problem.
Bless your
And it's
heart.
so hard for us to gain weight back once we lose it, you know?
Yeah, we
And
can't. I mean, some of us can't keep it on to save our lives anyway. With
look at my,
Morgellons disease, it does a
look at my
number.
arms. This is ridiculous. Look at that.
Yeah,
My
I
wrist
bless you.
is like,
I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. None of my clothes fit. I feel like a skeletal figure. Um, man, I used to have a butt. Need to give me a booty pop or something. It's just sad. Um, Candy, we're just gonna have to be like those monkeys that linked up at the arms, right? They're like little skinny monkeys or whatever. We got this. We got each other. We can lean on each other. But
yeah, I was in the hospital, when I told you I had that lung collapse and I told you I was having so much fun. But anyway, I had on one of those gowns, and it kind of opens up in the back. So I told the nurse, I was like, okay, you got to give me another one that I can put over from the backside because I am like I'm walking, I'm up walking, right? I don't want to be no damn hallway booty call here. So
yeah, I was laugh on my poor mom. Like was 2 years ago with the she had the ruptured intestines, and she kept getting up. She's like, "Could you close that for me?" But yeah, I actually insisted. I'm like, I am keeping my skivvies on, and you're welcome. And every time they try to like help me to the bathroom, I'm like, I am a big girl. I can pull this pole, which was all my IV poles. And then I passed out and knocked them all down. And they're like, yeah, so you can do that, huh? And I'm like, okay. So I ate my words a little bit, but I was like,
yeah.
well, it happens. I'm human. Gosh.
Yeah,
So
like I said, I was up walking around. I was barely walking, but I told him, I was like, okay, I'm not taking that blood thinner. So you know what? I'm going to be walking. I'm like, but you know what? We got to cover this booty because y'all don't want to be looking at that. I mean, it's over 60 years old. Okay.
it's just a 2 inch crack in a hole. I'm just kidding. I just said that out loud. That's what I feel like sometimes, though. Got a 2 inch
Oh.
crack in a hole. You're welcome. How's that for a booty call? Yeah, we're keeping it clean tonight, folks. We're a little delusional. Like, for the first
Bobby
time,
told me
actually,
earlier.
we're real.
Yeah, Bobby told me earlier. She's like, that's why I love talking to you. She's like, you don't mind saying anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, yeah. It's like,
You
okay,
know,
well, it's
got to keep it real, man.
real.
Got to keep it between the navigational beakers, they say. I'm like, honey, I've always colored outside the lines. And I don't plan on coloring inside them anytime soon. So, or if you want to call it coloring, like
Yeah,
sprayed outside the lines, whatever.
this over here, I was telling Lisa guys what I did with this because it got all puffy and it was like protruded out and it was red and it was lumpy. I took and sterilized the needle yesterday and I just kind of poked a couple of holes in there, put some pressure on it, and just let the blood come out. Because I was telling her, I was thinking back when the Bible, in biblical days, that's how they cured things. They called it bloodletting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I did that, and it's like it actually got better after I did that. I put some mentholatum on there, and it's like it's not as bad as it was. But
It
this is
looks
a side
better. It
effect.
looks good, actually.
Yeah, this is a side effect of the muscle relaxers that I was on. My face got so messed up, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I worked so hard to get it looking good, and oh, I don't need prescription drugs. I just don't.
That's what we were talking about too earlier, guys. Seems like the doctors are just more than happy to write out a script for this or that or the other. And if one's not working, well, instead of taking that one away, they just add to, add to, add to. And right now, I'm on so many thyroid medications and blood pressure medications. I feel like a walking zombie. And what I really feel like is that we are not all the same. Our bodies are all different. And by gosh, if you have Morgellons, your body will never be like anyone else's again. So when they try to force upon us, whether it be like for you, Candy, with the muscle relaxers or the blood pressure medications or
The blood thinner.
antidepressants for others or just whatever it may be, our bodies have changed. They have genetically modified organisms and that our DNA has meshed with another. We are not going to be the same. We aren't. We are not cookie cutters. We are unique and we're different. And by just simply writing out script after script, it's not going to work. And I mean, they should know this. Whenever, I was saying earlier, Candy, they went to draw blood and from you and myself. They couldn't. I mean, I'm vascular. I mean, I have veins like, there's no tomorrow. I am vascular. I don't know if you guys can see that. I mean, I'm not as bruised as I was now, but my blood would not draw. And then when they finally got it to flow, they were like, that is the weirdest color of blood I've ever seen. It was like a rust color, and then it had like a fluorescent green color, and you would think, because I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but blood has to flow. It's what keeps your body functioning correctly. They should be screaming and running to the highest authority, right? When not only can they not draw, but if they do draw it and it gels over like Jello, within the second it hits the air, there's a problem. And it just shocks me that this is happening. This is us. We should, by all means, really honestly, be dead. Like, that is not a normal thing to happen. So, but just not, I mean, they went between my fingers to every single vein they could find, and it just wasn't flowing. And what did flow was so abnormal. It should have shocked the shiest out of even the smartest, most wisdom thinking doctors that there are. And instead they're just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then the end, but there's something severe going on. And pharmaceuticals are not, not going to help. I mean, I think, they're pushing an agenda. My opinion. It's my opinion for entertainment purposes only, but, it's making people rich right and left. It is. And the doctors are going off a protocol screen, plug the symptoms in, and it reads back to them. Here's what you do. Here's what you give. Doctors aren't even doctoring anymore. Doctors are brain dead. Doctors are following a screen. And if they vary from that screen, if they vary from what they're told to do, they lose their license. So, I mean, it's times we're living in. Times we're living in. And Candy, I know you're hurting. Totally beat. I got to get up at 5 a.m. again and go straight back to work. Haven't eaten dinner, just got home, and I know that our bodies do need rest. So, would you like to add anything at all before we call it an evening? Just wanted everyone to know we're alive.
Yeah, we just wanted to come on real quick, guys, and let everybody know we're not dead yet. So
I'm gonna go out kicking. Obviously, I mean they tried, and they want our souls. The title of this is "They Want Your Soul." Satan will work overtime on all of you because you have these beautiful souls that don't belong to him, and he knows this. And so, if you find yourself wallowing in a world of sadness and it looks dark and bleak, if you find that like 2 steps forward and 15 back, if you find yourself falling down every time you get back up, take it as a compliment. Remember that that's because you got something that he can't have. So he's going to make sure he's going to just do his damnedest to make sure your life is as miserable as he can make it. So just keep it a little secret and just take it as a compliment and be like, not today, Satan, not any day. And thank you for working so hard on me because that means I'm pretty damn good. So, and you're welcome. But Candy, like, I have to say, you're one of the best people I know. You don't deserve any of the hurt or pain. But I take it as a compliment for you too, because like that means you are just, he's got you, like you're on his mind constantly. So it means you're a pretty great person in my book and anyone's book.
Wow, thank you, ma'am.
You're all welcome. I'll be here all night for your entertainment pleasure, ma'am. I have no idea what that accent was.
All right. Well, I got invited to a Mother's Day cookout with my 2 youngest and my grandkids tomorrow.
Nice. I enjoy that. I get to work on Mother's Day.
I told him, I was like, I'll do my best to be there, but if I need to leave, don't fault me for it because
They surely know. They surely know. You've done so many great things for them, but how sweet is it that they are actually thinking of you on Mother's Day? I think that's pretty phenomenal. So if you need your Mother's Day to take for yourself, I know that they'll understand, and you should do that because sometimes we got to take that time for us. And I'm sitting here not practicing at all what I'm preaching, so I'm just going to be quiet now. So, all right, guys, love you guys very much, and we're still kicking, not
right,
giving up. We don't give
love
up.
you, Lisa.
Love you guys. Love you, Candy. I'm so glad that you're feeling better. Just
Working
hang in
on
there,
it.
guys.
All
We're
right, love
here.
you
We're in
guys.
the fight. Bye.